Alright. I gotta run, so we're gonna make this quick. Lap 8 and 9 were my fastest laps. I finally got it kind of figured out. I ran them within 1 thou of each other. The first sector, there's a little bit of a discrepancy in line. I like the line better in the second lap because it's more conservative, and it'll save tires a little bit better. But the second half of the second lap is more aggressive. Um, I'm sliding around a lot. It's probably another like 4 tenths in the lap, um, based off of just what I can find. I slide around a lot. You'll see. I think there's definitely places where time can be saved. Um, but anyway, just what I found. I left the brake bias on the default for the cup setup, Sonoma cup setup that iRacing has. I didn't mess with it at all. I'm assuming this is what you guys are using. So anyway, just kind of doing a small little lift around this first bend to not drive all the way out here. I kind of want to aim back towards this blue cone and kind of like right when I get pointed at it, that's when I get on the brakes here. Um, and I just try and like hug this yellow line here and get this car slowed down, stay all the way to the left and then down into second gear, and then don't touch this curb as much as you can. Just kind of like get over this crest. As soon as you get on the throttle, the car is going to get really loose as we come over this. You'll see like the back end steps way out on me and I have to catch it. Um, just try and keep the throttle building. You want to get to third right before this dip, and then right when you round this crest, I get off the throttle and onto the brakes. Drive it into this, and then you want to make sure you don't go too far left. You want to try and, or too far right. You want to try and keep it as far to the left as you can. I do it actually pretty good job there, but I'm still kind of shallow. You see how this like hip is on this corner? If you're turning in a little bit later than this, you can kind of get straighter. Um, you see how like this curb kind of runs flat to the track. If you can get the car lined up with that section, you can accelerate straight, which will save you a lot of time going over this crest. You see how I'm having to back out of the throttle a lot because I get really loose coming over that, and I'm headed straight for the grass. So on my second lap, here I'll just jump to it. You see how like I go a little bit farther left and then kind of am straight going by this curb instead of like the first time. I'm kind of headed straight across here, and that lets me get on the throttle and I can go on the power and I'm pointed straight down the track. Um, so anyway, for this first lap that I did, I'm kind of like pointed, towards the grass a little bit, and then it cost me a little bit getting on throttle. This little dark patch is where I want to brake, for the next corner here. I go down to second. You can hit this curb. You can go over that curb. I really didn't like it, but you want to get close to it. You can really rail them, and it's not a big issue. But here, I just kind of like touched them a little bit. I didn't want to get the car too upset. And you can see when I don't get the car too upset, like I can get on the throttle pretty solidly here. And I stay in second gear. I don't shift up into third on the exit. The car kind of hooks. And then right where this wall changes color, it gets a little darker. That's where I want to brake for the next one. And then you can use all of this over here to the left. And then you want to make sure the car gets really slow. It's going to feel really awkward, but just keeping the car really tight into this corner here, because when we get on the throttle, I want to be pointed straight at this curve. I don't want to be out to the left at all. I want to make sure that I'm as tight as possible coming around here so that I'm pointed straight at my exit, because this is going to set up the run through the S's for us. And if we're out wide here, it's going to drive us wide for the next one, which is going to drive us wide for the next one. So it's really important you stay really tight to that and not get too bent out of shape. So staying tight to the left twice, and then we're going to go straight line across here. Want to keep this straight, and then right when we like clear this little access road, we're going to jump on the brakes and keep it tight to the left. You want to hug this right as much as you can, and then you can kind of feather in some throttle and come around here. The car's going to be really loose all the way over this crest. You can see I'm like sawing on the wheel here as I'm trying to fight the car. Oh, this is lap 9. Here, lap 8 real quick. It was a little bit cleaner, I thought, and not as out of control. So braking down, and again, keeping it really nice and tight in. I get a little bit more curb this time, and I'm gassing straight towards this hip. Keep it right tight to the left. Hit these a little hard, and then braking down. Make sure we get the car slow and tight to the left. A little bit of throttle to stabilize the car. A little bit more brake to get around this corner. Back on throttle, and you can see this was much calmer, but still fighting it. Up into fourth here, and we're gonna let the car it's really important for me when I come around this left, I want to let the car run to like the middle of the track. If you're like keeping it really tight to the left here, you're gonna shallow up the right-hander up ahead. So letting the car run just to the middle of the track and then cutting it back for this curb so that I can brake in a straight line along this curb and then hook it into the right. So if I keep it too tight to this on the inside here, I'm gonna fall away from this curve. I'm gonna be so tight that I'm gonna be falling away. I'm gonna have to like pull the car back to the left before going right. But this way, I'm braking down straight along this curb, and then I'm able to get into this corner nice and early and get back on throttle right at the apex here. And then, the car's gonna want to step out. You're just fighting the power a little bit, and then the braking zone for the hairpin, right when this little yellow line ends right at the floor here, that's when I'm jumping on the brakes. And then it's going to be really slow down into the hairpin. Just keep it nice and tight, and then nice and gentle on the throttle, get a good run out. And then it's full throttle, just kind of balance the car through this kink and across. But yeah, this hairpin, don't overdrive it. It's really important you get the car slow. You want to make sure it's nice and slow, nice and tight to this the rumble there, and then jump back on the throttle and let it run out. For reference, some of my bad laps when I was trying to figure this out, you can see like a little bit wide, and then like I'm trying to get back on the throttle because I'm overslowed. This running this corner deep and getting on this throttle early is going to step the car out every time. How this looks from the cockpit kind of looks like this. You see how I'm like a little bit deep, and I'm like, all right, I'm slow enough. I can get on the throttle, and I use the throttle to help turn the car, and I'm lost. Whereas, when I do it correctly, I'm slow, I'm turning right into the corner, and I'm letting the car roll through and just gently easing back on the power. I'm not jumping on it, trying to get the car to turn or anything, just moving the car around the corner. So yeah, I guess I'll show you real quick some bad laps, just so that things you don't do. Here's what happens when you overdrive the car through the first sector here. You're just kind of fighting through it. This is why I'm in third gear right now. This is why I like second gear. It just kind of helps the car rotate, and it helps you get the car slower. Third gear I just feel like carries too much momentum, and then you're just fighting it. It's not a fun time. Running through here. I think I try and run out wide. You can do it that way. I don't think it really matters, but I think the way that I showed you the first time is better. See how I ran a little bit wide on this hip. And now I'm fighting the car back. I still got a decent run through here though. Another thing is to be very careful not to overdrive these S's. You see how on this attempt, on one of these laps here, if I overdrive, and I go out wide here, it's taking me a lot longer to get through this sector because I'm so tight coming around this corner that I can't really start accelerating and then you're loose. Um, Just trying to think if I can find any other. Oh, that was actually a good overdriving moment. Yeah, so you see, I outbrake myself and I have to pull it, and no grip on the rear end. Yeah, so I mean, all in all, just be careful not to overdrive the corners. Make sure that you're staying within the limits of the grip of the car. Uh, it's really easy to overdrive, but once you get it down, I think it's not that bad. You just got to make sure that you're not carrying too much apex speed. I'm gonna let this run just so you can watch the full lap, and I'll end it there. So.